Now that we have the holes built for the support of the spoiler, we're ready to go in and convert this object to a subdivision surface and go ahead and make the final adjustments that we need. Okay, so here's the support arm for the spoiler with the holes cut out. Okay, so like I said, what we can do now is go ahead and convert this to a subdivision surface so that we have nice rounded geometry. So I'm going to go up to Modify, Convert, and we're going to go Polygons to Subdivision. Okay, and when I convert that to a subdivision surface, I now have these nice rounded holes in the geometry, but I've lost a lot of my definition, a lot of my manufactured look to this support arm. And you can see when I jump to my side view and compare this to my image planes that it's a lot more rounded now than it should be. Okay, so to fix this problem, what we can do is right-click on this surface, and let's go to Edge Selection. And what I want to do is start to select these edges, and I'm just holding my Shift key to go ahead and make sure I have all of these edges selected. And we're going to select all the edges that run around the outside of this surface. You want to make sure that you don't have any of these cross edges selected. Okay, and while we're at it, let's go ahead and select these edges that are on the inside of these circles, or these the inside of these holes, I guess I should say. Okay, so again, you want to make sure that you don't have any of these edges selected, any of these edges that actually run through the geometry itself. Okay, so with all these, I guess you could call them perimeter edges selected, what we can do is go to Subdivision Surfaces, and let's apply a partial crease to this. And you can see once I've applied this partial crease that I'm starting to get a little bit more definition back in my edges, and it's starting to sort of harden these edges a little bit, but it's still not quite enough. I want to go ahead and with these edges still selected, let's apply another partial crease command. Okay, and now if I go out of component mode, now I'm starting to actually get a little bit more of a hard edge and a little bit more of my manufactured look back, but I still have around the overall shape is still much too round. Okay, so to fix this and go ahead and get these nice hard angles like we're seeing in the image planes, again, let's right-click on this surface, go to Edge Selection, and now let's grab these 4 edges that are on the corners of the geometry itself. Okay, and you may have to jump to a wireframe view to be able to see some of these edges. Okay, so there should be 4 edges here that you have selected. And with these 4 edges selected, let's go to Subdivision Surfaces. And let's now give this, instead of a partial crease, let's give it a full crease. Okay, and now what we have is a nice mixture. We now have these nice rounded edges, or these nice rounded holes that are cut through the geometry, but we have these hard edges to give it more of a machined look. Okay, and if I compare this to my image planes, that's pretty close. Okay, but you also run into a problem when using subdivision surfaces with partial creases. And if I take a render, you can see what that problem is. Mental ray and subdivision creases don't always get along that well, and you can see wherever I've applied these creases, mental ray doesn't always register those properly. And you can see even though my geometry looks a certain way, whenever it renders, you might get something completely different. Okay, so to make sure that what mental ray renders is what I see here, what I can now do is go ahead and go to Modify, and let's convert this subdivision surface back to a polygon surface. And let me go to my options, and I'm going to set this to adaptive, and divisions per face set to 1. So now if I convert this, what I have now is a polygon surface that look identical to my subdivision surface. And now when I render this, I should now get back in the mental ray render exactly what I see here. Okay, so here's what we've got. And before I move on, let's go ahead and name this to support arm, just so I can sort of keep track of the geometry itself. And let's go ahead and now move this over and duplicate it. So now I have these two support arms that are connected to the back of the trunk. And that's pretty much how we can now get geometry that runs all the way through our surface without having to use a Boolean like we had to do in the photorealistic car modeling kit to get this gas cap. Okay, so in the next video, we'll go ahead and actually now start to build the wing of this spoiler.